Good afternoon, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started for today. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to start with our virtual meeting statement. I'm calling this meeting to order. All members of the Public Assembly Facilities Commission are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, commission members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A commission member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted the city manager's office to make the necessary arrangements. The meeting will also be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. A recording of today's meeting will be available on Friday, July 22nd, 2022 on the city's website. So again, welcome everyone and thank you for joining today. We will start with a roll call, please.
Haley Jingles.
Present.
Otis Northington.
Present.
Billy Rich.
Present.
Manya Stewart. No. Kat Garber.
Present.
Vicki Miller.
Present.
Ray Bowden. Bill Oakes.
Present.
Priscilla Green.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. We will start with the approval of the minutes from our June meeting. Could I have a motion for approval, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Yes. Bill.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any question? All right, please let your vote be known by a roll call, please.
Bill Oakes.
Yes.
Otis.
Bruce.
Haley.
Yes.
Priscilla. Priscilla Green.
Yes.
Vicki Miller.
Yes.
Billy Rich.
Yes.
And Kathleen Garber.
Approved.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We will start today's agenda with an introduction of Brian DeAngelis from the Winston-Salem Dash.
Thank you, Haley. So I'm going to just make a brief introduction and then turn it over to Brian. Brian's the new president of the Winston-Salem Dash, and I invited him to meet with you all this morning, really to give him an opportunity to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what's going on with the Winston-Salem Dash, not only in terms of their season, but also in terms of the other events that they have planned and the other ways that they are participating in the community. I know that there was discussion last month among commission members about the MLB upgrade project, and I'm happy to discuss that. I apologize I was not able to join the meeting during that particular discussion. But certainly, we can talk some more about that if we need to. But I really wanted to give Brian the opportunity for you all to get to know him. I know we've got some new members too, and I think this is the first time in some time that we've had, the president of the Dash come and talk to the commission. So with that, I'll like to recognize Brian.
Thanks, Ben. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Great to meet so many of you. Obviously a first time to meet some and not for some of the rest, but Ben with a great intro here for us. I mean, we've done obviously plenty in the past, speaking for the Dash history in terms of what they've done for the community. And I think that me coming down here for some of the teams I've worked at prior, the plan, the goal, and me being here is to become more community centric than the Dash has ever been in particular. And that's things I've said from my press conference until now. And that's important to us. I mean, I used to have on my staff 3 full-time members that were just responsible for community initiatives alone. And so we've already started working with Major League Baseball on several of those to represent all members of our community equally and really make our ballpark accessible to everyone at all times. And it's not just about baseball, it's about our full community. And all the initiatives we have. So we have some of those planned for 2023 and 2024 already. As everyone knows, COVID, while was a negative impact in many ways in the live event industry, the positive is it allowed us to kind of reshape and rethink the way that we can use our venue. And out of that birthed several of the opportunities for proms, for community events to occur when there was no place to meet and it was an outdoor facility. And many of those have continued since then, which has been incredibly positive for both us and the community. And I know some of the highlights that most of you are probably aware, but we do host the Joy Prom, which I had the pleasure of experiencing for the first time this year. Truly amazing event. Obviously partner with Winston-Salem State to host one of their events as well. And we continue to do that on an annual basis. Most importantly, though, I'm pretty excited for a lot of the upcoming initiatives that we have. One in particular being the 9, partnering with Major League Baseball and their Jackie Robinson initiative to actually bring both African-American and Black community forward in baseball, as they have done when Jackie started in the pros, but to bring that to the minor league level and let the community be represented in the way it fits within our local community. So we're one of the first minor league teams to actually be able to launch that program out of the 120. So we're incredibly excited to be able to do that and bring that forth to Winston in the near future. So a lot of things that have been positive, but a lot more to look forward to in the very near future, and in 23 and 24 to come. We're excited for. So appreciate you allowing me on here today.
Thank you, Brian. So we'll be happy to answer any questions any commission members may have.
Yeah, I'm going to be open, Brian. My name is Bill Oakes. I'm a commission member, City of Winston resident. And I think probably some of this is due to the fact that I raised a point at last month's meeting, and I feel like it's appropriate for me to be open and direct with you about that as well. My concern was, yes, you're hosting events, but I think that what I've seen is that many of the other facilities that are, or at least some of the other facilities that are owned by the city, the Public Facilities Commission does participate in rental rates. I think that's for the train station. Ben, is that correct?
So in terms of what you all as a group approve, the rates that the Fairgrounds charges, typically, if there are going to be adjustments, we bring them to the commission. We do not bring the rates that the Benton charges, so that's something that they develop and put in place. Bowman Gray Stadium, that's basically those are all set through the lease agreements, which you all have reviewed and recommended for council approval. And the rates that we were to charge somebody outside of racing or Winston-Salem State is part of the fee schedule you all are charged. But as far as like the Benton, the commission does not, set those rates.
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. But my concern was, I actually do work with some local groups that, being able to, they would like to use the Dash Stadium, which is owned by the city, but the rates that the Dash have charged have been a little more restrictive. And, when you look at baseball, not just the baseball component of the Dash, but of other entities, and I know this predates you, so I may not be completely fair, but Winston-Salem State was being charged a pretty healthy rate when I was at Wake Forest. We tried to play games there, but the costs were cost prohibitive. And, for one of my clients, who is one of your tenants right now, the Winston-Salem, the Carolina Disco Turkeys, it just, the prices are pretty high compared to the other communities in the region. And what I brought up on the last commission meeting was the fact that the city is not only contributing additional monies to the Dash, but this is after significantly lowering the rent on the venue. And some of the monies that are being contributed are not just being contributed for what is part of the Major League Baseball component, but for the organization. Is that correct, Ben? It's just because that $5 million was not just for Major League Baseball request improvements, but also for other components that were separate of that. Is that correct?
So let me. I appreciate your asking that question, Bill. Let me give some clarification, because again, I'm sorry that I wasn't here last month when you all were discussing this. The $5 million that council approved as part of this year's budget, the 22-23 budget, is meant to pay for the required upgrades that Major League Baseball has identified for the stadium. In discussions with the team, there was a discussion about adding administration offices to the scope of that project. And we are working on expanding that to include that, with the understanding that the team is going to pay for the construction of those offices. And so something that we'll be sharing with you and we'll be bringing forward here in probably the next month or two is a separate lease agreement with the Dash to enable them to pay for the construction of those offices. And so, the intent of city management is the $5 million will be dedicated towards the MLB upgrades. Now, there's also another element in there to build a new outfield restroom facility. But city management has talked to Dash, and the understanding is that will be what's considered an ad alternate. In other words, if we're able to construct all the Major League Baseball upgrades within the $5 million that council has approved, and that still is an identified need, then we may look to expand the scope to include the construction of those restrooms. But if we use all $5 million to construct all the Major League Baseball upgrades, then that restroom would not be built unless another funding source is identified. So I appreciate the question. So I want to make it clear: the $5 million is dedicated solely towards the MLB upgrades right now. There will be a separate agreement with the Dash for them to pay for the construction of the administration offices.
Okay, because that was not what was presented at the meeting last month. But I respect the fact that it's changed, and I think that's fantastic. But Brian, I mean, my reason for bringing the point is not that I don't think the Dash are a tremendous asset to the community. I actually would argue that the Dash are a fantastic asset to the city of Winston-Salem. They have been for, not just as the Dash, but when they were the Warthogs and previous programs and teams that have been here. I just want to make sure that as you all are getting continued city support in funds, that you're that the rates that you're charging are similar to what we've seen in other communities. So that's all. That was what I was trying to get to. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't know if that was a question for Priscilla as well. It popped up late. But if not, yeah. So appreciate that, Bill. So I think that Ben has done a phenomenal job outlining exactly what we need from a PDL standpoint, and that is being obviously put upon us by Major League Baseball, as it has for the other 119 MILB teams. And so I'm not 100% sure, who you're describing in terms of other facilities and what they would charge and so on. I've been at 5 teams myself, and so I am pretty familiar with what market value would be for using a facility, and we think that we're fairly in line being the facility that we have and some of the amenities and some of the costs that are associated with having a larger stadium versus a smaller stadium and things like that. For example, the lighting is just going to cost more at some stadiums versus others. And so all those costs have to be considered, as well as staffing. And obviously, as we know, prices have changed in the past 2 to 3 years, like everything. And so we're doing our best to do that and recover from, some difficult years that we've had historically in the past, as many businesses have. So we're just trying to position ourselves in the right spot that we can move forward and continue to support the city. We're trying to be as community centric as we can be while operating as a business within the lease agreement that we have with the city of Winston-Salem. And so that is part of our goal, is to service them the best we can and continue to provide a great asset to the city.
And I appreciate that, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm happy to share with you the research that I've done to show what other markets charge. That would be Greensboro, Charlotte, so markets that are larger and smaller. But I appreciate it, Brian, and I do not want to beat a dead horse. So I just want to say thank you for participating on the call, and I look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon.
As well, thank you.
I have a question. Since the city actually owns the property at the ballpark, do we have a staff person or an office present at the ballpark?
We have a city staff person present at the ballpark, Billy?
Yes, to oversee the day-to-day operations, as far as the city, their interests.
No, we lease the stadium to the dash. I mean, they are, 100, I would say, 100% in control, of the operation. Now, they work very closely with myself and in particular, our property and facilities management staff to make sure that, the stadium itself, that the parts of the stadium that we're responsible for maintaining, that we're working very closely with them to make sure that we are carrying out our maintenance responsibilities, but also being that they're keeping us informed of anything that they're addressing, so that we are have a good flow of communication about the condition of the stadium. So but no, we don't have a dedicated staff person who oversees the operation. They obviously manage the baseball games, but they also manage all the bookings and things for the other events there. And that is basically per the agreement.
Any additional questions, commission members, for Brian or city staff? All right. Thank you, Brian, for that presentation. We appreciate you joining us today and giving us some clarity on some of those things. The next item on our agenda is the resolution awarding contract to capture public relations and marketing for public relations for the Carolina Classic Fair.
Thank you, Chair Jingles. Robert Mulhern here. I will go ahead and take that. Fellow commission members, this is a resolution awarding a contract to capture public relations and marketing for their public relations services for the 2022 Carolina Classic Fair. It'll just be a one-year contract. And as you know, that Capture also recently won the bid for creative services, so that they're currently working on all our billboards, website, and all those other kind of creative items. So we solicited quotes throughout the city and state through the hubs and vendor listings. We received 2 quotes. A third response was given from Girl on the Roof Marketing, but they cannot support the workload requested regarding being on site during the fair. And as you can see, Capture PR and Marketing won the bid for the 2022 fair. So I'll just mention one thing we're super excited about, at least in this standpoint, is it's the first time in a long time since we had wildfire under, which was probably back pre-2018, where both the creative partner and the PR partner are under the same roof. And I think that will help some synergies in the process. And that's it. If anyone has any questions or concerns regarding the contract, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. If there are no questions for Robert, commission members, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any question? All in favor, let it be known by roll call vote, please.
Bill Oakes,
Approved.
Otis,
Approved.
Haley,
Approved.
Priscilla,
Approve.
Vicky, approved, Billy Rich,
Approve.
Kathleen,
Approved.
and Manya's joined us.
Approve.
Thank you.
Thank you, commission members. Next, we will have a review of the community engagement survey.
Thank you, Chair Jingles. I'll just introduce this one. DJ Hargrave, who works with us on marketing advertising, kind of helped spearhead the survey. He's going to share his screen here, and he'll go through some of these results with the entire commission.
All right. Thank you all. I appreciate your time. For the sake of brevity, this is a 32-page presentation, so I'll try to keep it quick and possibly even just go through like the top 3 responses for each question throughout the survey. You'll see that in the beginning, we'll break down the whole survey overall based on what we found. And then towards the end, we'll break down the responses among each individual ethnicity, particularly Black, white, and Hispanic. So of course, the survey dates were May 27th through June 30th. So these first 2 pages are kind of like an overall recap of the survey, what we learned. 90% of survey participants have attended an event at the fairgrounds in the last 10 years. 61% of survey participants are likely to attend the Carolina Classic Fair. 81% of fair participants are likely to attend a non-fair related event at the fairgrounds. And among the genres for concerts, as far as feedback for concerts at the fairgrounds, rock and roll, jazz, and R&B were the top 3 genres that survey participants would like to see at the fairgrounds. Survey participants are more likely to support concerts than any other type of event at the fairgrounds, festivals, sports events, trade shows, and so forth. 65% of participants were white, 22% were Black, and 5% were Hispanic. And all but 14 responses were from Winston-Salem zip code. So I believe we had 875 or so survey responses. Only 14 were not from Winston-Salem. 12 of those were from Greensboro, and then the other 2 were from, one was from Arizona and one was from Pennsylvania. So this first 6 or 7 slides, again, are for all demographics that filled out the survey. Have you attended an event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds in the last 10 years? 789 people, or 90% of survey participants have, and 86 people have not. How likely are you to attend the Carolina Classic Fair? This is a common theme among the survey. It's kind of split up evenly between 0, 5, and 10. So 144 people said they are not likely, or 16% of survey participants are not likely to attend. 16% are on the fence at a 5, and then 15% are a 10 out of 10 as far as being likely to attend the Carolina Classic Fair. How likely are you to attend a non-fair event at the fairgrounds? Leading was at number 5 with 18% of participants. 17% of participants being a 7 out of 10, and then just under that, 16% of participants being a 10 out of 10 for attending non-fair related events at the fairgrounds. What type of concerts would you like to see at the fairgrounds? Again, our top 3 genres were rock and roll, jazz, and R&B, and you can kind of see the distribution among all of the other genres that we had available for the survey. And then this is just a percentage breakdown of the different genres and what people chose. What type of events are you likely to attend at the fairgrounds? At number 1 was concerts. After that was festivals. And then after that was the Carolina Classic Fair. This is a demographic breakdown of who filled out the survey. So 570 of the 870 or so participants were white, 195 were Black, and 48 were Hispanic. And then you have the other breakdowns as far as Native American, Hawaiian, and so forth. And then these are the percentage breakdowns for each demographic. So now we get into the demographic breakdowns. As I go through, you'll see the ethnicity at the top of each page. So this is for Black, non-Hispanic, Latino. Have you attended an event at the fairgrounds within the last 10 years? 90% said yes, 9% said no. How likely are you to attend the Carolina Classic Fair? The vast majority were a 10 out of 10 at 25%. In the middle on the fence was 16%, or excuse me, 16% were at a 5 out of 10 as far as how likely they are to attend the fair. And then shortly after that was an 8 out of 10 with 11% of participants being an 8 out of 10 to attend the fair. How likely are you to attend a non-fair related event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds? Most were 10 out of 10 with 22% of participants. Shortly after that was 19% being a 5 out of 10, and then 15% of survey participants being a 7 out of 10. Now we get into what type of concerts would you like to see at the fairgrounds? I had to kind of switch up the visuals here so that it would all fit on the page and you could have it be legible. But R&B was at number 1. with 89% of Black participants wanting to see R&B at the fairgrounds. 65% would like to see jazz, and then 45% would like to see reggae, with hip hop shortly following after that at 41%. What type of concerts would you like to see? So these are the other responses that were filled out in the comment section under the question of what type of concerts would you like to see? And it's kind of listed out based on how many there were of each genre. One thing I would like to do before I have Rachel send out the final draft of the or the final version of the survey results is I'll probably have to go through and manually count each genre and how many people actually mention each genre. All the other responses that you've seen and results were automatically generated through SurveyMonkey. With these responses, it was kind of hard to filter them and count them out. So I'll go through and do that. I'll go through and do that before Rachel sends it out. But gospel was something I saw a lot of among all of the races. Gospel was number one. Gospel, Christian, whatever it may be, that was number one. And then some of these were one-off. Some of them you saw some here and there. Theater, dance hall, Caribbean, neo soul, Christian, and go-go. What type of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? Check all that apply. For concerts, it was 84% for Black participants, 79% chose festivals, and then 65% chose the Carolina Classic Fair. What type of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? And these are, again, the other comment sections. Marketplaces, flea markets, food festivals, wrestling, wine festivals, and so forth. Have you attended an event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds within the past 10 years? This is getting into the Hispanic survey participants. 89% said yes, 10% said no, they have not. How likely are you to attend the Carolina Classic Fair? So 25% were a 10 out of 10. 14% were no, not at all. And then looking at the middle, 4, 5, and 6 area, it's about 26% when you add it all up as far as are you on the fence. 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. How likely are you to attend a non-fair event at the fairgrounds? Again, among the Hispanic demographic, 27% were a 5 out of 10 chances of attending a non-fair event. 17% were a 7 out of 10, and then 12% were an 8 out of 10. Among the Hispanic participants, what type of concerts would you like to see at the fairgrounds? Number one was Latin music at 76%. Pop was at number 2 with 41%, and rock and roll was at number 3 at 34%.
Oh, sounding like country. Okay.
What type of event, or excuse me, what type of concerts would you like to see at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds? These are the other responses. So we saw reggaeton, cumbia, gospel, Christian, musicals, and kids shows. What type of events are you likely to support at the fairgrounds? Check all that apply among Hispanic participants. Again, concerts was at number 1 at 77%. Shortly after that was festivals at 68%, and then the Carolina Classic Fair at 62%. What type of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? The other responses included gun shows, wrestling events, community yard sales, religious events, livestock shows, gardening events, and cooking related events. And lastly, we have the white or not Hispanic and Latino survey participants. Have you attended an event at the Carolina, or excuse me, have you attended an event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds within the past 10 years? 89% said yes, 10% said no. How likely are you to attend the Carolina Classic Fair? 17% were at a 5 out of 10. Same thing with 0, not at all. 17%. And then 12% were 10 out of 10, extremely likely. How likely are you to attend a non-fair related event at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds? 17% said they were 5 out of 10. 17% were 8 out of 10, and then 16% were 7 out of 10. What type of concerts would you like to see at the fairgrounds? Rock and roll was at number 1 with 66%. Shortly after that was country at 43%. And then pop was at number 3 with 39%. What type of concerts would you like to see at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds? These are, again, the other responses. We saw local musicians, jam bands, quite a bit of gospel and Christian again, indie, drag shows, holiday music, punk rock, 70s and 80s. What type of concerts are you most likely to support, or excuse me, what type of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? And number 1 was concerts. This is the common theme among everyone. It was concerts, festivals, and the Carolina Classic Fair. And then what type of events are you most likely to support at the fairgrounds? You'll see the Demolition Derby, which we have during the fair, classic car shows, food truck festivals, again, Christian and religious events, kids shows, flea markets, gun shows, some of the ones that we saw most commonly among all the demographics. And that is the end. Does anyone have any questions pertaining to the survey results?
Well, I'd like to say this was great coverage of what people like and don't like. And of course, it will take, some time to go through them to get the commonalities. But in some cases, you've shown that with the concerts, it's certain things right up front for all 3 groups. But great work on your part.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, DJ. We appreciate you giving us that report. We'll move into staff updates, starting with the Fairgrounds Grandstand.
Carol, you want to go ahead and take this one?
Yes, yeah, I can. We are moving along with the grandstand. We have received our reports back from the guys who did the structural and just all of the structural reports. We are moving forward. We're getting ready, I think, to tear off the roof of the grandstand. That's going to be the first thing that happens. And then, Ben, please correct me if I've gotten some of this confused. I think we're going to get a contractor to do the complete repairs, lighting, the seating areas and all that. We do have a backup plan for the fair, though. We can bring in, if we do have issues with supply chain or getting this stuff done on time, we can bring in bleachers and restrooms in order to compensate for that. So we are moving forward with all of our events in the grandstand during the fair. And we'll keep you posted as that work progresses. Does anyone have any questions?
I know you said we've gotten back all the quotes and research from all the structural engineers. Did everything get straightened out with insurance? I know that was one of the holdups for a while of trying to figure out what was going to be covered and what wasn't.
Yes, the insurance portion is kind of split into 2 different areas. The damage to the building itself and then the contents within. And we have finalized the documentation on everything that we lost. I'm not sure if we've actually received the first check from the insurance yet, but that is coming for the internal losses. And then the finalization of the other contracted documents will be later.
That's correct. Kathleen, I think that the business personal property, the first category, I think we're looking at over $100,000 in a payment for that. And then I can't remember right offhand, but it could be over 200,000, I think, for the work on the stand itself.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Fairgrounds operations and the event calendar.
Hey, this is Robert again. Just real quick to go over some of the items. So we just came off a good old rock and roll concert this past weekend, trying to appease our survey folks here. Had a good crowd, about 800 folks for Mother's Finest. It was they put on a really good show. And then a couple weeks ago, we had Jurassic Quest, which was a really good crowd for us. It's our third year, minus the COVID year. We've had them consecutively. We have seen attendance go down. The first year we had about 10,000 folks come through here, and then the last 2 years it's been 5,000 and about 4,500 respectively. So attendance has gone down a little bit year over year. So that is just a note on kind of that recent activity. And just going on a couple other notes, piggybacking the grandstand and some of the budget stuff that was talked about last week. We've begun kind of working on estimates and quotes to also do some cleanup to the annex, which is an item we're going to be addressing with some of the capital improvement money. We'll have some new flooring put up front, and then some new restrooms, and just really giving it a good clean look with brighter lighting and paint, and hopefully that'll make a big difference. So that's kind of priority number one, and we're going to start rolling on those items, hopefully to have them done before the fair and for ice skating season this coming year and Thunderbirds. So speaking of Thunderbirds, we also do have their schedule in place, and we're working with Wake Forest now and youth hockey and kind of finalizing their time. So the ice schedule is going to be full and ready to go as normal following the fair. And I think that's it. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions. Our next concerts aren't until really the third week of August, the end part of August. We got the BB King Experience with Kenny Neal, which is the top blues performer right now on the charts. So we'll have a blues show rolling in here, and then we also have Little Texas coming that same weekend. I think that's the 26th and 27th of August. So two good shows coming there. And I think that's it for concerts rolling up into the fair. And then we're also working with PBR and doing kind of a festival type experience for I think it's the first or second weekend in September. We will have an event called Cowboy Days out at the Fairgrounds in conjunction with PBR and Wake Forest. So that'll be coming soon as well.
Robert, that's September 9th to the 11th.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so that's second weekend.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Carolina Classic Fair.
Okay. Well, I just looked at our homepage. We have 73 days until the fair. I know that's hard to believe and it's scary, but we are going forward and continuing booking some local entertainment on the clock tower. I'm finalizing that. We did just go live with our online entry system July 1. So please tell your friends and families to go sign up and enter some stuff in the fair. We also have our wine competition coming up the 13th and 14th of August. That will be held over here in the Home and Garden building like it normally is. Anyone like to volunteer to help us out? We're looking for all kinds of hands there. Other than that, just finalizing it in the grandstand stuff in order to where we can work with all of our entertainment in the conditions that it looks like it's going to be, and just continuing booking different areas. Vendor participation seems to be doing pretty good. We do have some ads out there requesting if anyone would like to be a vendor during the fair, inside and outside. We're looking mainly for local arts, crafts, those type of people. We really want to spotlight community businesses as much as possible. I know DJ, he's got quite a few ads out in like Triad Business Journal, Yes Weekly, places like that. I think we may even be putting something on TV 13, if I'm correct. And just trying to get a good, diverse selection of vendors for the fair. So anyone have any questions?
All right, thank you, Cheryl.
You're
I
welcome.
believe, are we at the Benton next?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I just got a couple updates for you. Obviously, we're starting to ramp up to get ready for the National Black Theater Festival, start August 1st through the 7th here at the Benton and the downtown area. So I believe that we are all getting prepared, and it's going to be another great year for the festival. Just a little preview of what happened at year end here at the Benton. We exceeded budget by almost $1 million. So we're very pleased with that as we present final numbers later in a couple months when everything is 100% done. I think you'll be very pleased to see that where the Benton came out for the year. And the only other update I have is that we did have a pipe burst on the skywalk between the two hotels. So that has been dried up and repaired, and there's still a little bit left to go. We have some elevator repair and things to do, but that will be fixed and will be completely refurbished by the festival. The carpet will go down on the 25th and 26th up in that space, and it has been painted. There's not a lot of paint up there, but that has been painted, so it'll be completely nice and ready for all the guests. Any questions anybody has on the Benton? Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Grant. Bowman Green Stadium.
I can take that as well. Bowman Gray Stadium racing just completed their, I believe it was their 10th race of the 11th race of the season, maybe. After 2 rainouts, arguably the largest crowd we've had. Toss up between the first week and this past week. They hosted monster trucks and demolition derby. Really good crowd. We used the overflow parking lot that is over off Tower Street in Forest Park. And I think overall racing is going well. We've already started conversations with Winston-Salem State Athletics with football. And for those who haven't seen the schedule, their first game is actually during the fair. It's the first week of the fair, which is actually also homecoming. And I think there's about 3 to 4 weeks in between racing and football, which is very rare. But I know our grounds crew appreciates that, getting the field ready. I think that's it. If you have any questions, or Ben, if you want anything on Bowman Gray.
Yeah, the one thing I would like to add, so we've been monitoring the condition of the track very closely. We have identified some areas where it appears that the track is what they call pebbling a little bit. And we've had some core borings done and are being examined in the lab right now to just to see if there is an issue with the compaction or how the track may have been installed. And once we get the results from that, we may be looking to do some, at a minimum, some repairs in that month after between the end of racing and Winston-Salem State's homecoming game. So we know there's some areas that we need to address. I think we're looking at these core borings and the analysis of them to determine the extent that we need to make repairs to the track. And the fortunate thing is that the track is still under warranty because it was installed back in late November of 2021. So our expectation is that anything we have done will probably be done under that warranty.
That's good to hear. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I have a question. A couple of people have asked me, they've seen the news coverage and sports coverage during the NASCAR race of cars going across the football field, the grassy area. That's how is our grass out there?
Billy, I'll jump in. Ben can add if he needs to. I think the grass is in good shape. It's matured since they put it in. It's all set. And in our opinion, the current activity on the actual field is not anything more than it has been historically. So the playing surface is in good shape. Now they've run over some of the corners, and we're going to have to resod some of the corners right where the track and the sod meet. But that's also kind of a normal part of the wear and tear with the track. So I would say overall it's in good shape. No extra concerning issues. And then even with the monster trucks this past week, I think they in general took fairly good care of the track, and we have preventative measures such as sand and tarps and a small crew that goes out there immediately following that race and takes care of it. So I think we're in good shape as of right now.
All right. Any further questions for city staff? If there are none, we will have a brief discussion about our remote meetings. Ben, I take it that this is for, whether or not we want to go back to in-person meetings or continue virtually.
That's correct. What I wanted to share with the commission this, today is council's approved I guess you'd say an ordinance that basically it gives the commission the option to continue with remote meetings if the commission votes on it, if there's a majority vote. Right now, what we're hearing is that the governor may lift his state of emergency the 1st of August. If that happens, then public bodies like the commission, the city council will have to return to in-person meetings. That's kind of the default. But this ordinance does allow the commission the option if there's a majority vote to continue with remote meetings. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of time here at the end of the meeting for you all to just give us an idea of, is that a vote you want to take? Or do you want us to go ahead and just start planning to return to in-person meetings, most likely in August?
I'm for in-person.
Yeah, I'm fine to return to in-person. Yeah.
I would
vote for in-person.
I would prefer in person as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you all to vote unless you want to vote for, continuing with remote meetings. If somebody want to make a motion to do that, this would be the time, I think, to go ahead and do that. According to that ordinance, it has to be done in an open meeting of the particular board or commission. But if you all want to proceed with in-person meetings, assuming that the state of emergency is lifted there in early August, and that's what we'll plan for.
So are you saying, Ben, we need to make a motion to do that?
No, I'm just saying, I'm just saying that if you want to continue with remote meetings, then I would ask you all to, someone to make a motion and for y'all to vote on that. Otherwise, what'll happen by default will be that if the state of emergency is lifted in August, you'll return to in-person meetings. And most likely, we typically hold our meetings at the Benton.
All right, commission members, is there anyone very opposed to in-person meetings starting back in August? I guess is the question on the table here.
Right.
Well, I don't see any, Ben, so I think we're good to go.
Okay, all right.
All right, well, that's the end of our agenda today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And again, we'll get instructions for our August 15th our August 15th meeting, and then we'll see you all there in person. Thanks so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.